At 9, a warning about a scam where the suspects impersonated law enforcement officers. One Georgia woman, well, she fell victim to it. She lost more than $25,000. Atlanta News First, Alani Latang is live at the Suwanee Police Department. Alani, walk us through what happened here.
Yeah, Tracy, this was a very demanding scam where police say the scammers didn't let up. They called the victim multiple times, threatened arresting her, and they even showed up to her home to collect money. So Suwanee police are investigating this after they say that woman lost out more than $25,000. Investigators say the scammers impersonated police officers. They say in October, the suspects contacted the victim claiming to be members of the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office, first calling the victim from an unknown number, then calling her through Gwinnett County, the caller ID. Police say the suspect told the victim that her son could immediately be released from jail if she paid bond through an app. And then after paying, police say it escalated, claiming the victim had a warrant for missing jury duty. Police say the suspects then sent the victim a fake county warrant, threatening that she was arrested if she didn't pay. Police say then a female suspect contacted the victim while on the phone asking her to draw large sums of money. They say suspects eventually showed up to her home, collected money, and then the victim grew suspicious and she contacted police, who told her that they would not contact her and demand money through Cash App, through an app, or threaten arrest if she had missed jury duty. And police just want to remind people that IDs can be spoofed and they should not be trusted. And again, police are not going to demand money through any other form other than what they directly give you. So that's cash or through an app. Reporting live here in Suwanee, I'm Alani Latang, Atlanta News First.